Hello and welcome. I'm Rashawn Gidwani and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the headlines for this hour. President Trump has informed the British government that the United States does not require their military assistance to secure a victory in Iran. The statement signals a unilateralist approach to the conflict, leaving traditional allies weighing their role in regional stability. Israeli airstrikes on an eastern Lebanese town have left at least 16 people dead as the military campaign intensifies. Local authorities are struggling to clear debris and reach survivors amid the widespread destruction of residential areas. The Assembly of Experts has reached a majority consensus on a successor to the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, according to reports from Mer News. While an official announcement is pending, clerics state the chosen candidate aligns with Khamenei's guidance to be hated by the enemy rather than praised by it. The Israeli military has declared it will pursue every potential successor to the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. This policy aims to systematically decapitate the Iranian leadership structure to prevent the regime from regrouping. China has declared that high-level dialogue with the U.S. is vital as President Trump increases pressure on Beijing's key global partners. Officials warn that escalating trade restrictions and geopolitical maneuvering threaten to destabilize the fragile diplomatic balance between the two superpowers. A U.S. appeals court has ruled that the Trump administration cannot immediately end protected status for 350,000 Haitian migrants. The decision provides a temporary reprieve for families facing deportation as the legal battle over the program's termination continues. Canberra is currently evaluating urgent requests for assistance from multiple nations recently targeted by Iranian kinetic strikes. The Australian government is considering deploying logistical and security support to allies in the Gulf to counter the escalating regional aggression. Days after striking Iran, President Trump is hosting Latin American leaders to strengthen regional ties and counter Chinese influence. The summit focuses on securing Western Hemisphere supply chains and limiting Beijing's economic reach in the Americas. And here are the top stories for this hour. Iran's security chief Ari Larijani says the country's leadership remains united in the ongoing conflict with the United States and Israel. Speaking on Iranian television, Larijani rejected former President Donald Trump's suggestion that he could influence the selection of Iran's next leader. He said while Iranians may have internal differences, they stand together in defending their country and will not cooperate with attempts to divide Iran. Larijani also criticized Trump, saying his claim of contributing to the late leader's death shows a backwards approach and will not affect Iran's unity. And now joining us live is Lebanon Middle East commentator. He's joining us from Karnataka. Sir, in your belief system of what's happening in Iran and your experience, I do believe that the people there are somewhat divided. Do you believe this is so and Larijani is essentially speaking the truth, so to say? Or is this just another form of hearsay aimed at attacking Trump? What are your thoughts, please?
Thank you for having me. I already left Karnataka. I'm back to Israel in the northern border. So I'm very happy to be with all of you. We do not believe a single word that the Iranians say. They're extremely unpopular inside Iran itself. We saw the dancing in the street when Khamenei was assassinated. And in a way, Iranians need to explain their own Desi audience, how come they're so weak, how come they cannot control their skies, how come after the 12 days war that they had some months to prepare for the new war, they so poorly prepared for it. So no, we do not believe that that he means what he says. I believe that the Iranians are quite panicked now, and they do not know how the war will end. And many Iranians also regret that they started the war against the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and other countries that did nothing wrong to Iran.
In my mind, this is essentially all a scheme for the powers that are in place in Iran to essentially own all the wealth that is being generated through oil exports. Who will essentially rise up in Iran to restructure the government? Or will Trump, I've asked this to another guest, will Trump have to go there and send representatives from the White House and Congress to set up a new government? Because from what I'm understanding in this 9-day war, Iran doesn't really have much resources to move forward from now on. What are your thoughts, please? Sir?
This was for me or for another guest?
For you, sir. For you, sir.
Okay. The same way that Iran doesn't have a plan B, also the Americans are quite confused. On one hand, Trump can use the street language of cry uncle and say that Iran has to surrender. But I believe that even President Trump does not really believe that the Kurdish minority or the Azeri minority or other minorities will actually replace the current regime. So on one hand, Iran is very weak as far as its military capabilities are concerned. On the other hand, I do not believe that the United States actually has a plan. And if they believe that in the middle of the war, the Iranian people will try to crash their own government, I think they are wrong. We need to be realistic. On one hand, Iran is losing the war. On the other hand, the Iranian regime is still there.
Please stay with us, sir. We'll be right back with you. Next up, the Israeli military says it has carried out a series of strikes on Tehran, targeting Iran's space agency and ammunition storage facilities. The army said its operations dismantled the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Space Force headquarters and struck around 50 ammunition bunkers, a besieged base, and an IRGC compound. Meanwhile, an Iranian missile hit a residential area in central Israel, scattering debris and damaging vehicles. Israeli forces have also targeted fuel depots near Tehran. According to Iran's UN ambassador, at least 1,332 Iranian civilians have been killed and thousands wounded, while Iranian attacks have killed 10 people in Israel and 6 U.S. service members, with 2 Israeli soldiers killed in southern Lebanon. And now joining us live again is Lebanon, a Middle East commentator. He is back in Israel. Sir, in your opinion, when will all of this stop? What exactly needs to happen? We've seen the Pope speak. We know that Khamenei is already dead. The government's trying to restructure itself. What's the ticking time bomb between U.S. and Israel and Iran that will essentially cease fire for all parties involved? Sir?
Enough to bank on the Pope, unfortunately. This war is extremely unpopular in Lebanon. Hezbollah promised the Lebanese government that since its collapse, like about 6 months ago, and the pager, that they lost so many lives and health of so many terrorists that they had, they promised the Lebanese government that right now they will be more focused on Lebanon itself. And although they fight with Israel willy-nilly, they don't really give all their heart in the current war. Still, they made a big mistake and they started the war against Israel, and they're suffering a lot of casualties. And if we compare what Israel is going through, if we compare it to what we saw just 1 year back, 2 years back, Hezbollah is weakened, extremely unpopular in Lebanon. And I believe that Hezbollah will have no choice but to give up this war. I do not bank on Pope, but I believe that France can help, the Americans can help, the Lebanese government can help. Also, a lot of the Shia minority in Lebanon, Not all of them belong to Hezbollah. Some of them belong to other factions. They also tell Hezbollah, stop this war. Already 1 lakh of Lebanese Shias had to leave South Lebanon inside. Beirut suffered a lot. There is no reason for this war. We have a war between Iran and Israel. Hezbollah and Lebanon has nothing to do with this war.
Do you believe there's a future in which the U.S. and Israel essentially, yes, rule out all the government in Iran and then set up their own government and capitalize off of the oil exports in a legal way? Is this what Trump wants? What are your thoughts?
Yes, Trump believes that if Iranians surrender, some kind of a new government will pop up. Maybe it will be a totally, let's say, a liberal government, a more secularized government, and maybe it will be like Venezuela, let's say from the same party, same ideology, but still with no negative or extreme negative feelings towards America and Israel. Trump is banking on minorities. I'm very skeptic about it. But if the military victory of the US and Israel will be so vivid for Iranians, let's say in a week from now, maybe they themselves will look for some kind of diplomatic solution.
Sir, please stay with us. Thank you so much. Next up, I'd also like to get some insights from retired Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar, Senior Strategic and International Affairs Expert. He's joining us from New Delhi. Sir, I'd really like your insights on this. What are your thoughts on the fact that President Donald Trump is essentially trying to set up a hegemony in the sense that in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, the entire world will have to report to the United States? Are we seeing the seeds of this being planted with this Middle East tension right now? What are your thoughts, sir, please?
Very interesting your question, because it is taking me into a galaxy of 3 more decades of what is going to happen. Today we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. It's very, very difficult to predict what is going to happen after 30 years. But definitely USA is on the decline. And I'm very, very firm in my conviction on this, that the way Donald Trump has set about on this course of MAGA, it is detrimental to the interest of USA. You cannot rule the world by sheer power. You have to have a balance between your power and your diplomacy. You know what we have observed in the last 1 year of his being the president of the United States. There are fissures in NATO. Relations between the US and Canada are not the same. Relations between the US and the UK are not the same. We just saw this Diego Garcia episode. And what he is doing in the Middle East, or West Asia as you call it, is not sowing the seeds for a stable Middle East in the future. You cannot you enforce regime change in the countries just because you want it. Do the people of the nation want the regime change? That's the logic. How can you dictate the future of another country? It's a sovereign country. Whatever, I'm no fan of Iran. Whatever may be the proxies and the way they deal with this problem of Palestine in this area, this is no way of settling a problem. Problems are not settled in this manner. Okay, you may use coercion, you may cause maximum destruction. 10,000 people will get killed at the end of this war. Then what? And the special forces, you keep on saying that I will have a special forces operation. Let me tell Donald Trump, special forces is a very specialized operation. There is a great deal of secrecy involved, and you don't announce it. Now, even if you want to carry out a special forces operation, it is not announced. So it is basically a narrative building. There is no question of a special forces operation being successful in Iran. And I've studied the terrain of Iran. It's going to be a Waterloo for the American soldiers in case they go inside. So now what is happening in the Gulf is that a relationship between Iran and the other countries in the Gulf have been affected now, because Iran had to strike on their bases, and there was a collateral damage in these countries. So if you are saying that you're going to enforce peace by ensuring
Yes,
that...
sir. Thank you. I'm so sorry. We're out of time. Please stay with us. We'll be right back with you. Next up, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz has said the ongoing war in Iran is aimed at eliminating a threat Tehran has posed to the Middle East for nearly 5 decades. Waltz described U.S. military operations as extraordinary, claiming Iran's air force has been destroyed, its air defenses almost completely degraded, and over 40 naval vessels have been sunk. He added that the president and U.S. officials are making the case internationally for the campaign, stressing that the goal is to protect the American people and eliminate the Iranian threat once and for all. Waltz's remarks come as the conflict enters its second week, with regional tensions rising. Now, joining us again is Dr. Satoru Nagao, fellow from the Hudson Institute. He's joining us from Tokyo. Sir, do you believe that Iran has reserves for these ballistic missiles and drones to the point where this war can last for the next 4 or 5 weeks and the U.S. might be out of the picture? What are your thoughts, sir?
If Iran run out the stock of the missile and the drones, this is the timing of the diplomacy, and the U.S. can eliminate the threat of Iran. Could happen, but that is the scenario on the U.S. side, I think. But in this case, we should remember why this is very important, because if Iran possesses a nuclear weapon, there are the 3 worst case scenario we can expect. After Iran, Saudi will possess a nuclear weapon, and it will be the domino. And the other possibilities, if both Iran and Israel possess a nuclear weapon, because of the size of the countries, Iran can destroy Israel, but Israel cannot destroy whole of Iran. So this means that this is very dangerous for Israel. So Israel must eliminate a nuclear weapon in Iran before the Iran possess. And thirdly, under the space program, in the next 7 or 8 years, Iran will possess more longer range missile, because peaceful development of the rocket is possible when no one can stop it, but same technology can apply to the missile. So this means that this Iran's nuclear weapon reaches Europe and the United States. It will happen next within 1 decade after that. So that's why we need to stop the nuclear development program in Iran anyway. But Iran has already reached 6% of the enrichment of the uranium, so that's why more than 20% they can create a nuclear weapon, even if rough. More than 90% is better, but 20% still it could be the nuclear weapon. So that's why the U.S. logic is eliminating the nuclear weapon development program of the Iran is decisive factor to stop this kind of the 3 worst case scenario in this region. So that's why it is understandable. But the problem is, agenda is how to end this battle. Of course, if Iran will be the good government to follow the United States and end the nuclear weapon development program, of course, a good scenario will come. But still, this is an ongoing situation, so that's why we need to watch.
I've noted that Iran doesn't have missiles that can attack the U.S., but if their nuclear weapons are being developed and they do have those nuclear weapons and capabilities, Do you have any intel on what exactly they'd be able to do with those nuclear capabilities? Would they be able to wipe out the entire U.S.? Enlighten me, please.
In this case, yeah. Yeah, in this case, what happened in Iran is quite similar with what happened in the North Korea. In case of the North Korea, when they try to possess a nuclear weapon, on surface they try to solve through diplomacy. But secretly they develop it. And after that, they start peaceful purpose space program. So after that, they fire the rocket, and North Korea say, this is a peaceful purpose space program, and the satellite is singing the song of the Kim Jong-un or something like that, they said. But finally, they declare, we possess nuclear weapon. So that has happened in North Korea, and North Korea is cooperating with Iran very deeply. So that's why what Iran will do is quite similar with the North Korea's scenario, because North Korea is a successful example. So that's why one by one we are checking the Iran's program, and what is Iran's program in the future, we can easily to expect. And in case of the space program, Iran really prepared this space program, and Iran said this is peaceful purpose, like North Korea. So that's why we are worrying, everyone worrying. This is the completely same scenario North Korea did. That's why this is one kind of the evidence we can say.
Thank you so much for your insights, sir. Much appreciated. Next up, Iraq's oil production from its main southern fields has plunged by about 70% to roughly 1.3 million barrels per day, Reuters reports. Exports through the Strait of Hormuz have been blocked, preventing Iraq from shipping crude. Before the disruption, production stood at about 4.3 million barrels per day. The Strait of Hormuz is a key global energy choke point, carrying around 20% of the world's oil supply. Iran has previously threatened to set ships on fire if they attempt to pass through the narrow waterway, raising concerns about further supply disruptions. And now joining us again is Lev Aron, Middle East commentator. He's joining us live from Israel. Sir, do you believe that China will start possibly attacking the U.S. if there's a longer chokehold? I know that talks are happening. To what extent, I'm not sure of right now, but do you believe that maybe Russia as well will get involved and then we'll officially be on the brink of World War III? Enlighten me, please.
Yes, this is a very good question. China was humiliated by the United States because China is the peace, it made the peace between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And once Iran attacked Saudi Arabia without being attacked, just started a war against Saudi Arabia, it was crystal clear that the hegemony in the Middle East is purely American. And in this sense, America showed that China is, in a way, unimportant in the current situation. Now, China is planning everything, and China knew in a way that a war will come. So for the next year, China has enough of all the energy that China needs. Now, this conflict will not go through 12 months. Don't worry about it. So in this sense, China has enough energy. In a way, China buys energy and then refines it and sells it to other countries. So maybe even other countries will suffer, Indonesia or Japan or other countries, but China itself has enough energy. The big problem with China is that it became irrelevant to the Middle East. Now about Russia, Russia is too busy with Ukraine. I don't see Russian troops or even too sophisticated Russian technology getting into Iran right now. Iran is totally alone. Akela.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. Have a good evening. Next up, Israeli aircraft have struck a Palestinian refugee camp near Sidon in southern Lebanon, according to Lebanon's national news agency. The agency reported that 2 raids were carried out on the Ein El-Hilweh camp. At this time, it is unclear if there have been any casualties. Ein El-Hilweh is Lebanon's largest Palestinian refugee camp and is home to tens of thousands of residents, many of whom were already displaced by previous conflicts with Israel. The attack raises concerns over civilian safety in an already volatile region. Next up, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the first group of Ukrainian military experts will depart for the Middle East and several teams would be sent. Zelensky and Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten have held a meeting and they have discussed joint arms production, and Zelensky has stressed Ukraine's unique experience in defending against Iranian-made drones used by Russia. Jetten has said that European allies were coordinating efforts with partners in the Middle East who could learn from Ukraine's wartime experience and potentially provide ammunition that might be more effective on the battlefield in Ukraine. Let's listen in to what Jetten and Zelensky had to say.
In the coming days and weeks with our European allies, we will see what we can do to coordinate, work closely together, but also to call upon our partners in the Middle East, because I strongly believe that the partners in the Middle East can learn a lot from the Ukrainian experience, but perhaps can also provide Ukraine with some necessary ammunitions that are not effective in the Middle East attacks, but could be effective here on the battlefield.
Thank you so much. We've got some messages how to help people, how to help civilians in the Middle East, and also how to help American soldiers who are in the bases in some countries. And we said that we will send experts and we will provide everything they need to say.
Speaking at a press conference in Kyiv alongside President Volodymyr Zelensky, Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten has said that partners in the Middle East can learn from Ukraine's experience. Jetten said that lessons from the Ukrainian conflict could inform strategies in the region, while also suggesting that Middle Eastern partners could provide Ukraine with ammunition that may not be effective in the Middle East, but could help on the battlefield in Ukraine. Let's listen to what Dutch PM Rob Jetten had to say.
Coordinate, work closely together, but also to call upon our partners in the Middle East, because I strongly believe that the partners in the Middle East can learn a lot from the Ukrainian experience, but perhaps can also provide Ukraine with some necessary ammunitions that are not effective in the Middle East attacks, but could be effective here on the battlefield.
That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.